name is Mike Marks, and I'd like to talk to you today about some of the changes in pricing within the industry. If you go back, actually you can go back 50 years, and what would happen is our margins as a distributor were essentially affected mostly by transaction size. What that means is that when someone comes into a counter and they buy a gallon of bowl cleaner, that would typically on that transaction be the highest gross margin that you're going to get. On the other hand, when a sales rep wraps up an annual contract for the Cincinnati airport, the margin on that's going to be very low. People say you got to look at the dollars, not the GP percent. And this has permeated the industry both at the manufacturer level and at the distributor level for decades. The fancy word for this is takeaway power. In other words, the larger the transaction, the lower the gross margin. Now, what's happened here in probably the last 3 years, there's been the advent of something called strategic pricing, and you're seeing different kinds of pricing technologies, both in software and in disciplines, that are beginning to show up in the industry, even with very, very small distributors. What's interesting about this is that this is an area where the distributors, in many cases, are much further ahead than the manufacturers. Most manufacturers in this industry will still price purely on takeaway power. This is part of the reason we have buying groups in the industry so small independent distributors can have a level playing field with the large nationals. But what I'm going to talk about today are a couple key ideas that have really changed things, and it's a way of doing pricing within a distributor. Essentially what happens, I'm going to give you a couple ideas. When a customer comes in and says your price is too high at a counter, a sales rep will typically give a discount to that customer to keep the customer happy and preserve the relationship and the ongoing bundle that they're buying from you. But unfortunately what happens when you look at the data, we don't give them a discount of 1 or 2%. We'll typically roll it down to either a 5 or a 0. In other words, if it was 40% margin, we'll take them down to 35. If it was 30, we go down to 25. People tend to round by fives, and when you look at the data, that is just a natural behavior. Now the problem with this is that I'll take that one product that the customer is concerned about and I'll take their multiplier down on every product, on every manufacturer that they buy, even on things where they're not sensitive, because it's an easy thing to do. The second thing, and by the way, that costs most distributors probably a half to a full point of margin, that generalized discount or changing the multiplier on everything. The second, and this is the most dangerous, is LPP, and that's an acronym that stands for last price paid. People will always go to last price paid because it's the absolute easiest way to get the customer sold, and we assume that it was the right price in the first place. In most cases, it wasn't. What many distributors find is that their small customers, because somebody gave them a discount at some point in the future, enjoy below market pricing forever. Taking those small customers that you're giving better than market pricing is worth a 2 full percentage points, and it's worth a strong look. The last thought I'll give you, everybody that's winning in this game, and they're getting from 2 to 4 points of blended gross margin, are getting your salespeople out of the pricing, and they're putting someone in charge of pricing. Just things to think about, maybe discuss in your own company. Thanks for your time.
To view more quick clips, visit ISSA.com.